Welcome viewers to this series of lectures on Harappan civilization, and this time around we are talking of the period which is about the timeline characterized by end of Harappan civilization and beginning of Vedic culture, and therefore it is about exploring the elements of continuity and change between the two, between Harappan civilization and Vedic culture. In the previous part of the lecture, I have qualified this categorization by saying that there are historians who believe very strongly that the two should not be seen as separate categories. Rather, the architects of Harappan civilization being the same as the ones of Vedic culture, and they discount the theory that Aryans came from somewhere else and they are different from the inhabitants of Harappan civilization. So, that debate apart, in terms of the society, in terms of economic activities, in terms of religion and religiosity, there are quite a few streaks of developments that do hint towards continuity of some of the Harappan practices or symbols and motifs or traditions down to the Vedic period. Whereas also true is the fact that in terms of again the same society, economy and polity, and even religion and religiosity, the two appear to be very different, and that opens up this debate in terms of various facets. So, having discussed the key features in the previous part of the lecture, let us concentrate on the continuity part of the two to begin with, and then we shall talk about the change that we get to see between the two as well. So, as you can see on a slide, in terms of geography, in terms of the area where Harappan civilization developed and the initial habitat of the Rigvedic people, they largely appear to be the same. The northwestern part of India, the Sapta Sindhu area as is known in the sources. So, it is the Indus River and its tributaries in the northwestern part of the subcontinent is the place where Harappan civilization also grew, and that is also the place where from where we start getting evidence of a different kind of Rigvedic culture from 1500 BCE onwards. So, there is continuity in terms of geography of the two cultures that we get to see. Yet another marker of continuity between the two is in terms of material culture. Now, one can always argue that material culture may not always be changing with respect to changing political dynasties or changing the architects, the different set of populations, so forth. So, to some extent it does, but there could be continuity as well. It's like if the say British period is over from Indian culture, that does not necessarily mean that we started eating with different utensils or we started wearing different clothes and so forth. So, that is what we get to see as material evidence through archaeology, and that does not always follow the dictates of political changes. Nevertheless, there are some pottery traditions that can be seen to have existed even in the late Harappan cultures, which are different from mature Harappan cultures that we are more familiar with. And as I told you that the Vedic timeline is coterminous with the late Harappan or post Harappan cultural evidences that we are talking of. So, since we know about Vedic culture only through literary evidence in the form of Rig Veda, so there is great degree of ambivalence with respect to identifying the late Harappan or post Harappan archaeological cultures, whether they were Vedic or they should be understood with reference to something else. So, that confusion, that ambivalence is endemic to our understanding of the times that we are trying to capture in this lecture. So, mature Harappan potteries and late Harappan potteries, if we compare them, then at Jukhar, at Chanudaro, at Mohenjo-daro, which gives us the evidence of late Harappan cultures as well, at Cemetery H, at Perak in Balochistan. So, these are the places where late Harappan cultures, which certainly are not the mature Harappan cultures. So, here we do get some evidence of pottery traditions that do remind us of some continuity with the Harappan tradition, with the mature Harappan tradition. They are different, they certainly are different, that is why they are referred to as a different culture. But that element of continuity could be cannot be discounted altogether. So, they do use similar clay, similar firing method, and this has been underlined by historians like Mackay, Poschel, Olchin, who have written profusely about these. Then shapes of the pottery also show fair bit of continuity. The motifs used and the design, for example, Jukhar potteries also show very many checkered square pattern painted in black and white, and on red pottery, which is again characteristic of mature Harappan potteries, and they are showing the same design. Now, it could be that the urban phase of the Harappan civilization having ended, still these practices in terms of motifs and design continued in cultures which are late Harappan, right. So, use of red polished slates, the kind of potteries made, for example, perforated jars, etc., they continue down to the late Harappan cultures in Jukhar, Chanudaro, Mohenjo-daro, Cemetery H, Perak, and so forth, which again tells us that there is no drastic break of traditions with the end of Harappan civilization as such, but some of these practices did continue in subsequent cultures, subsequent late Harappan cultures as well. So, that is one. The element of continuity can also be seen in terms of the units and scales of weights that Harappans had been using, and this is something which continues down to the present times. So, we have several stone weights which have been discovered from several sites like Mohenjo-daro, Chanudaro in the mature phase of Harappan life. And we know that they are based on a system of multiples of 2 and 10, and also the fractions of 1:2, 1:4, 1:16. Now, this as you can see on this slide is a practice that continues till date. Now, if it is a practice that continues till date, what is it that we are trying to say here? For example, how do we reckon with say currencies, right? So, we say 25, 50, 25 rupees, 50 rupees, 75 rupees, 100 rupees. Similarly, in terms of paisa, how do we say 4 ana, 8 ana, 12 ana and 16 ana. 16 ana is complete 1 rupee, 16 ana such, right. So, that is 360 degree. So, this conceptualization of using the fractions of 1:2, 1:4 and 1:16 to make sense of milestones or to make sense of quantity is something that continues till date, and this is something that had started in Harappan civilization itself. Even in terms of weights, how do we say, like pauna kilo, adha kilo and 1 kilo. So, these are the denominations that we use, and again it follows the same fraction 1:4, 1:2 and 1:16. So, this is how we reckon with units of weights, measurements, currencies and so forth, and this is something which had begun in the Harappan times. So, despite the end of Harappan civilization, even in the subsequent times, Vedic included, we do find the same unit of reckoning in terms of scale or weight or even currency. So, that is yet another aspect of continuity that we get to see. Now, the Harappan continuity can also be seen in some of the designs, in some of the technologies, although here the examples are very limited through which I am trying to assert this, and these are always evolving kind of technologies that we are talking of. Yet some of the conventions that had crystallized during the Harappan times are very much seen in the subsequent cultures and so forth. And again, I am giving you examples which are continuing till date. But for the spoked wheels, the design of the Harappan bullock carts continued to be almost the same as it had existed in the Harappan times. And in the subsequent slide, I have shown you the photograph. On the left, you have the terracotta replica of what was probably Harappan bullock cart, and the modern time bullock cart that we get to see in rural areas. So, but for that wheel, which is solid wheel, solid wood wheel in the case of Harappa, of course, we now use spoked wheel, and this was a big difference that marks Harappan civilization and Vedic culture, because Vedic culture, wherever wheels are spoken of, they are spoken of in terms of spoked wheels, something with which even time is represented, something which keeps moving all the time. So, the horse chariots carried wheels which were spoked wheels, quite unlike the Harappan wheels. So, but for this, the design of bullock cart, which was the fastest mode of transportation during Harappan period, because Harappans did not know about horses. And this again is a matter of great contention amongst historians. Those who believe that Harappans and Vedic people were not different would try to prove that Harappans also knew about horses and so forth. So, that is a bone of contention between historians of two arguments here. However, the point that I am trying to make here is that if we look at the Harappan bullock cart, then there is a streak of continuity in terms of design, except for its wheel, which continues even till date. Similarly, the iconic bronze dancing girl, as it was labeled by historians of European origin right at the start of the discovery of Harappan civilization, what comes as very eye-catching is that this bronze statue, the lady in question is wearing full arm thick bangles, full arm is something which is very much in fashion, particularly in rural Rajasthan even today, right. So, again, it is not as if everything during the Harappan period ended with the decline of Harappan civilization. Some of the practices, some of the fashions, some of the designs, even in material terms, did continue even in the subsequent period, to the extent that they are very much there even today. And this is the statue that I was talking of, the bronze dancing girl, and the on the right you have the present day picture of rural Rajasthan, where the lady in question is wearing full arm thick bangles, and the similar kind of ornament is adorned by the bronze dancing girl statue that we discover that has been discovered from Mohenjo-daro. So, this again tells us about another streak of continuity. Now, the streak of continuity between Harappa and Vedic period is also revealed through religious practices, and again, as I said, that this is intensely debated amongst historians, whether to understand them as continuity, or are they just familiarity of the subsequent times that we are trying to foist upon an unidentified past and trying to make sense of similar representations in the same context and meaning. For example, Harappan double graves, some argue that, well, it is symptomatic of what subsequently we know about as part of Indian tradition of women folk performing sati, right, dying alongside the husband. Similarly, the Harappan elephants, wherever they are represented, since Ganesh, Lord Ganesh has elephant head, so some argue that, well, Ganesh is a venerated figure even in Harappan times, and it is the same religion and religiosity that we get to see even in Harappan times. Similarly, the Mohenjo-daro seal of horned seated personage in a particular asan is understood by some as prototype of Shiva or Pashupati. Again, Shiva or Pashupati is alluded to in the subsequent Hindu religion and religiosity, not necessarily Rigvedic period as such, but since they do appear as prominent gods and goddesses in the subsequent times, people do tend to identify these Harappan representations in terms of Hindu gods and goddesses, so, and also practices. So, again, the fire altars. Now, we all know that the chief mode of worshipping in the Rigvedic period is sacrifices, where Havan was performed, where fire altars were used, and this is how through Agni, the merits of the performer is sent to gods. So, this is the underlying idea of performing sacrifices in the Rigvedic period, and we have discovery of fire altars in southern part of Kalibangan citadel area, and it contained ash, terracotta cakes, clay columns, animal bones. So, some historians are led into believing this, that, well, here is an evidence which tells you that what appears as Rigvedic sacrificial practices is something that Harappans were also practicing, and here is an example. Similar features are discovered at Amri, Lothal, Nageshwar and so forth. And again, I am qualifying this by saying that historians or set of historians do regard all these as anachronistic also, that it is a practice which began subsequently, and a structure which might not have much to do with the kind of practices which became fashionable subsequently, which became mainstream subsequently. You cannot foist that idea onto the earlier structures, the earlier evidences, right, material evidences. So, those ideas cannot be foisted upon it. The sense in which so it could be interpreted as fire hurts, it could be interpreted as something else we do not know much about unless we have access to literary sources. So, nevertheless, these are the points of continuity that is spoken of by historians as such. Now, this brings us to the last segment of our discussion, change. Change between the two, Harappan civilization and Vedic culture, is also very striking. Harappa is symptomatic of trade, urbanization. Iron is not known to them. Solid wood wheel is what they were using. They were unaware of spoked wheel, or so far we have not been able to discover spoked wheel in Harappan context. Again, there are historians who believe the two are not different, would assert through some discoveries of spoked wheels that well, they are coming from the same area where Harappa existed or Harappan civilization flourished, and maybe that they knew about spoked wheel as well. So, these are the assertions that we keep hearing of time and again, because it is a contested issue, and wheel and horse is at the center of the Harappa and Vedic debate. Bullock cart as the fastest mode of overland transportation. So, these are some of the things that appear as contrast to what we get to see in the Vedic period, because in the Vedic period the economic system is characterized by pastoralism, and it is village centered and certainly not urbanized and cosmopolitan as it used to be in the Harappan period. Iron is very much known to the Vedic people, particularly in the later Vedic period, and subsequently they became prolific users of iron as the Vedic culture progressed to Middle Gangetic plains and so forth. So, there is profusion in the usage and metallurgical operations associated with iron. So, certainly they were knowing about iron technology, and so far we have not been able to establish with any degree of satisfaction that Harappans were iron users. So, iron was not known to, iron technology was not known to them. Perhaps the pyrotechnology associated with iron metallurgy was also not attainable so far as Harappan period is concerned. Spoked wheel I spoke of is something which characterizes Vedic period, but the Harappan period is characterized by solid wood wheels, which is just the kind of things that we use in carom boards, right. So, it is that kind of wheel which is used. Certainly, spoked wheels are lighter and they distribute weight more more efficiently, and therefore, it adds to the total speed of the vehicle, be it a chariot or whatever. Horse driven chariots are yet another marker of the economy of the Vedic period. This is in contrast to the Harappan times where we discussed that horse driven or ox driven carts are the fastest mode of transportation. So, even in social organizational terms, Harappa appears to be rather complex, hierarchized and urbanized, whereas the Vedic times probably were organized, or Vedic culture was probably organized into tribes or jan as we call them, and it is perhaps not that informed by complexity as an urban culture in Harappa was. In terms of script and language, Harappan script, as we discussed earlier, we have a very thin corpus of Harappan scripts, and they are all undeciphered, so we know little about them. Whereas the Vedic literature appears to be very sophisticated, with Sanskrit being used as the language, and there is a huge corpus of literature in the form of Rig Veda and subsequent Vedas that we get to hear of in the Vedic period. Similarly, in archaeological culture, Harappa is understood with reference to black on red ware and burnt brick houses, whereas the Vedic culture is revealed through OCP, ochre colored pottery ware, copper hoards, painted grey ware, and subsequently iron phase of painted grey ware. The houses are mud houses in Vedic period, whereas in the Harappan period they are burnt brick houses. So, these are some of the important aspects of change that we get to see between the two timelines, between the two cultures, between the two social formations. And that is what we wanted to discuss with reference to continuity and change, with reference to the Harappan and Vedic cultures today. Thank you.